going on, G1s? Tom the Airman here, coming out here with another TexaVlog for another day down at the Texas Shindig. So, it's been a full freaking day. My God. Okay, so it started out with me waking up in the morning and struggling to stay awake. My alarm was set for 8 o'clock. I didn't get my ass out of bed till like 9:45, 10 o'clock. And that's bad because, like I said, I've been so disenfranchised with Rooster Teeth as a company as a whole for many years. Not because I simply don't care about them. I just kind of fell out of watching their stuff because they stopped Red versus Blue after season 5, which gave me no incentive to visit the website for quite some time. So I really don't know what to go see and what do. It's like, you know, what did I do when I went to go see Magfest? I went to go see the Screw Attack guys, and that's when I branched out from there. I found other stuff to do. I'm having a little difficulty doing that here, but I'm sure we'll find something as the weekend goes on. But I sat down and said, well, this is what I want to do. And by the time that happened, it was already 12 o'clock. So time to get lunch. And we went outside and ran into Sean Madden and Matthew Fishman and the other guys. And they said they had gone to a food truck that was right around the corner from the hotel itself. So we went ahead and made our way over there, and there was not one, not two, but 3 food trucks, 3 big ways to win big. There was the Maine lobster truck, there was a kebab and a gyro, and I'm going to get a gyro. So that's the options of the day. I went to the lobster truck because I'm a fucking idiot and bad with spending money, and got myself, I didn't get lobster because it was that expensive, but they had a fried haddock sandwich, which was delightful, and I got it with a slice of cheddar on there, and it was absolutely delicious. But I wanted to get some lobster. They had mac and cheese balls with lobster bits in instead of bacon, and that was delightful. Got that and a Coke and called it a day. And after having that Coke, I immediately remembered why I don't drink store-bought soda. That stuff is wretched. I really, really wish they would sell the cane sugar Coca-Cola formula for the soda machine, because that would change everything. So after that, we went ahead and reconvened and decided to make our way down to the ACC. And I would be remiss if I didn't drop a little story about getting the badge yesterday. I went ahead and was getting in line and got the badge. And all told, and this is the same thing that happened last year, if you're coming down to do this thing and you are here for the entire weekend, go ahead and get your badge done at the JW Marriott. If they continue to do this, don't go to the ACC. Go to the JW. The line was significantly shorter, and we got in and out, and you will see a lot of people passing through there. I got tapped on the shoulder by Chad and I heard, "I thought I told you not to come here." You know, I mean, it was little funny in-jokes like that. That will happen, and you will be a whole lot happier, because then that way you won't have to go to the ACC and wait in line for half a day to get your badge, because that's apparently what happened with a lot of people. And who wants to spend their time waiting in line? You just want to have fun and do the thing. So we went ahead and got down to the ACC, and we, like I said, there wasn't anything on the schedule that jumped out at me. What was I going to do? What was I going to see? And we figured, well, let's go ahead and actually go into the vendor hall itself. Let's find something to do with that, or the expo hall, or whatever it's officially called. I keep getting that stuff confused, but there was a line to get in the line to get into the expo hall. And there was a significant bottleneck. They had a metal detector. 2, like you go through the airport. I've never been to a con or festival that necessitated the patrons to entering through a metal detector to get anywhere. I understand there's a large crowd here, but for crying out loud, 2, there's easily 10,000 people here, maybe even more than that. You got to have better planning and more to do than that. You need to have like 10 of those, because that's what was slowing everything down. And they wanted you to have your bags unzipped and put them through, and they weren't even checking the inside of the bags. And I don't know, is it because there's some concealed permit open carry law that got passed or something about weapons? I don't know what it could be, because they're selling goddamn swords and katanas inside the vendor hall itself, so I don't know what the whole purpose of that was. It seems like a counterintuitive waste of time, and it took us about an hour to hour and a half to actually get inside. And I was so miffed at how long it took, I wasn't going to leave for a while. And I walked the hall, and that's when the things actually started to get a little bit better. We ran into Madden and Fishman and everybody else, and again, Hunter, he was there too. And we got caught up in everything, and they said, oh, the arcade's over here, and it's not the office machines, it's some local group brought their own arcade machines, which is a little weird. I was hoping to see the office equipment, but they didn't have that. But I stopped over and I saw the guys from True Fun, the guys that do Super Rad Ray Gun, and they had a table there again. And got a chance to catch up with those guys, and I've gotten to know them fairly well on Twitter since I visited their table last year. So I really wanted to go by and tell them thank you for making the game, what their ambitions and what's the next chapter, and helping the game being successful and everything. And they had a t-shirt for me, which was wonderful. Thank you so much for that, guys. I will wear that the next time I stream the game. And they also had the soundtrack, and and I love what they did with the soundtrack. They have really high resolution, glossy finished insert box art, and then the actual soundtrack's burnt onto a CD. It's like the System of a Down album, Steal This Album. I love that. So that was cool. Caught up with them, walked the hall, and I don't know if it's because it's the Texas Shindig, but there isn't a lot of vendors that are actually selling video games, which surprises me a great deal. It's a lot of printed artwork. It's a lot of commissioned art. It's a lot of tchotchkes, a lot of little collectibles and statues and things of that nature. I don't know if I missed it, but there was only one booth that was selling video games, and that was Game Over of Austin, which is fine. Unfortunately, they really didn't have anything at the table that I was interested in, outside of a copy of Hybrid Heaven for like $10, but if it's still there on Sunday, maybe I'll get it. The label wasn't in the best of shape, so it's not exactly on my highest of high priority lists to go ahead and pick that stuff up. So,
love you, Tom. See you later.
Love you long time, guys. Ciao, ciao. So after visiting the Game Over booth, made our way back, found the arcade table, found the Third Strike machine, and there was nobody there, and that made me really sad. But it was me and Wordman, and we started playing, and then after a while, a crowd showed up, and then we had Nick, and then we had Chad, and then we had Gerardo, and everybody just kept coming in, and went going from absolutely nothing to an absolute sea of people wanting to play Third Strike. Was awesome. And there was a lot of familiar faces from SGC last year there, so that was good. Then the guy who took the whole tournament last year, he had an unbelievable Urian. Just go ahead and reckon faces. I got a bunch of good matches in. It's really good. I love playing Third Strike on G1 game days, and I like playing it with my MVC stick on the 360 and everything. But the ability to play it on an actual stand-up cabinet is an experience that is completely different, and it's just so organic. I love it. Being able to have that level of competition between two people and have it be right freaking there next to you just adds an extra dimension to the whole competitive nature of the game, and it just makes it that much more special for me. So by the time we had gotten in there, it was getting really close to like 5 o'clock. And there was, in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to get dinner, at least get it maybe a little bit early, because there was 2 bits of evening programming that I definitely wanted to see, which was, of course, run by Craig and Sean. And that was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Screw Attack versus Game Attack versus Kind of Funny versus Mega 64. And boy, oh boy, was the evening stacked as high as it possibly could go. Long and the short of it was I didn't get dinner. We had gotten back to the room just long enough to for me to reload on Gatorade and grab a couple of granola bars because I felt like I was going to need those for later in the evening. Hello, there's a mosquito flying in front of me. Wow. Hopefully it doesn't come this way. Okay. So, and I was bringing that as like a late night snack in case if things ran past midnight. And they have, spoiler alert for those of you watching this. But I get a hot text from John Bruners, Danger Boy John on Twitter, and he says, people have already started to line up for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That's not good. That means people are showing up 2 hours beforehand to actually watch this thing go down. That's kind of crazy. But it is what it is. And we went ahead and head downstairs and got in a fairly respectable spot in line. But while we were doing that, we ran into Austin Harper, and it was great to see him, Potato Hound on Twitter. And he was, he said more or less that he was in charge of running the evening programming lot and having all those kittens being wrangled. And he assured us that the people that needed to get in would get in, which is wonderful. And I didn't want to put him in any awkward position or ask any favors that would potentially get him in trouble. So he assured me that wasn't going to happen and everything was going to be all hunky-dory. Nice thing was they actually did start letting people into the panel room early, so that way I had time to set up the camera and get everything going, and that was wonderful. When you guys see it, you will laugh. Bolin was doing the full Regis Philbin experience, including dressing up in a suit and having a wig, and that was just too much, too funny. Had 3 big contestants, 3 big ways to win big, and everybody got cute, funny little names for their contestant names, and it came down, nobody actually, spoiler alert, nobody actually got to the final round and walked away with $1 million. The $1 million prize in this instance was a $25 gift card to Applebee's. They say the millennials are killing, your mid-tier dining experiences like Applebee's. Ha! Not going to happen with that gift card. So it came down to 3 people, and the names are escaping me right now, but I remember their fake names. There was Whores, there was Douche, and then there was Nips. Originally Douche, who was dressed up clad in America gear, he was being very patriotic. He won, but he had left, and we could only presume he left so he could get in line for Screw Attack versus Game Attack versus Kind of Funny versus Mega 64. So they had to default to the next person who got the second highest, which was Nips with a Z. So that was a thing that happened. So that was cool, and Bolin was in character so strongly, but he would slip out of it just so much to just fly off the handle and wig out at people, which was quite hilarious. So that was cool. And then we immediately got out of line to get back in line for the next panel for Screw Attack, Game Attack. It's Kind of Funny, Mega 64 face. So, anyways, got in the line right there, and as we were waiting to get in line, Gerardo calls me, Hybrid Rain, and he was like, "Yo, man, where are you?" And I'm like, "We're round the corner in the line closest to the elevator." "Okay, I'll be right over." Okay, what's going on? Going ahead, getting in line, and then the next thing I know, he says, "You're coming with me," and he grabs me and Vinny, Big Boss of Moss, who had chomps, with him. So that was neat. We still don't know who runs the Chomp's Twitter account, even though Chomp seems to be getting pictures with everybody this weekend. It's weird. Nobody seems to know what's going on. So we're then suddenly pulled over, standing in a section with everybody that have VIP badges, and I'm like, what's going on here? It's like, just wait, everything's gonna be cool. And then before too long, they ushered us in early. They were watching out for us. So basically all the longtime G1s and stalwart fans who wanted to get in got in. So from that being said, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. You know, I know that they had cameras in the panel room for both events, and they're probably going to get uploaded to the main Rooster Teeth channel or whatever. The fact that I was able to get in and film my edit and put it up on the G1 channel and my channel for all the G1s that didn't make it out to the Texas Shindig, you'll be able to watch that. Thank you for making that happen. I know this is not the highest quality picture or sound, but it means the world to me to actually be able to film it, archive it, and share it with everyone that gets home. That's awesome. Austin, thank you so much for doing that. So that's cool. I'll be planning a little bit better to make sure that I'll get in time for Mario Party Saturday, tomorrow. You know, and the room was packed for both Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and the Fatal 4-Way. You know, talking with Craig and Bolin just a hot second ago, they were concerned that people may not have shown up, and everybody got in who wanted to get in, but it was, you know, if they wanted it to be standing room only, it very easily could have been. So that was crazy nuts. And, you know, everybody went back to the room, and one of our roomies got a little bit overserved, had to take care of that. And, you know, for those of you who imbibe and partake, there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you do it responsibly, and, you know, drink plenty of water pregame, and just be careful. Sometimes a party atmosphere tends to have you indulge a little bit more than you normally would if it was any other given day of the week. I don't drink, but I would do the same thing with food, and it would perpetually screw me up for the rest of the evening. So I can empathize and sympathize and understand. Don't, you know, looking back on it, it's kind of dumb to say, Tom, don't put so much food on your plate, but it's a special occasion. Don't do that. So, so I decided to go ahead and excuse myself because I was going to do the vlog in the room, and it probably wouldn't have been the best time to do that. Or do it in the hallway. It really doesn't have that good of a setting. You know, people can interrupt you. So I decided to go back down to the third floor where the evening programming was being held. And for those of you who were at SGC last year at the JW Marriott, you know that there's a bunch of hallways and ends of hallways that have, you know, nice lush couches to sit and lounge on. And I went ahead and set up my equipment, and as soon as I did, who but else rounds the corner? The Agent of Chaos and the People's Champion themselves. What's going on, G1s? And oh gosh,
hello,
look who's here.
Hi guys.
Craig and Bolin. Sat down, talked with them, and had a moment of reflection of what happened during the Fatal 4-Way, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and their experience for this weekend thus far. So, you know, it's just one of, oh man, that reminds me. We'll come back to that in a second, but it just shows that, you know, if you just set up like your little split decisions and how they impact the rest of your day, you know, if I didn't feel the need to film the vlog outside and go somewhere else to do it, I never would have run into them. Funny how little things like that work out. We had an instance like that earlier this morning, or around lunchtime, I should say. We were coming back from the food truck, and everybody's like, let's go back to the room to eat. And there's this these large concrete slabs that are about 3 feet high by almost like 2.5 feet wide, enough to sit like 8 people on them if you across the 2 slabs if you really wanted to. And I thought it's like, and it was in the shade of a tree. And I said, guys, why don't we just eat here? And I'm glad we did, because when we did, John Francis McCullough showed up. He had just arrived, and he was in his full Future Trunks costume. It was great. You know, just like if we had gone back to the room, I would have completely missed him till hours later when I ran into him at and in the ACC in over by the Third Strike machine, because that's where I ran into him and Nick. But you know, like it's just funny, like one little split-second decision to do something that would have not been what you normally do yields a wonderful, positive, and yummy surprise. So, you know what? Sometimes playing it safe isn't always the safe move, if that makes sense, if you know what I'm trying to say, because it's I never would have thought about, you know, filming the vlog down here, and I ran into Craig and Bolin, had a very candid conversation with them about everything that's going on, running into John Francis, who is such a great guy, and I wish him all the best in his future endeavors. He's going to go so far with his ideas in his head for his filming, and any chance that I get to see him and hang out with him, I cherish, because he is a truly unique individual and he's an awesome guy. So please follow him on Twitter, John M Films. Good times I had by all. So, and that kind of wraps it up to where we are right now. So the only real 2 big things on the menu for tomorrow that I really want to see is the Death Battle panel at 9:30 at the ACC, and Mario Party Saturday. So there's a lot of space in between, so maybe I'll find some panels to go to or something like that. So on that note, this has been another TexaVlog live from the JW Marriott. It's what time is it? Oh, 1 a.m. Central. So yeah, it's time to go to bed. So anyways, on that note, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time for another TexaVlog and the Texas Shindig Adventure. So ciao ciao.